In this video, I'm gonna talk about Horizon Zero Dawn. This game contains geese. These geese do not attack human beings on sight. This detail is a subtle nod to the fact that this game is a work of science fiction. This game is also entirely populated by Canadians. Don't let the locale fool you. The world building may tell you that you're in Wyoming or Colorado, but everyone exhibits the distinctive Canadian bobblehead speech motion as described by Russell Peters in his famous stand-up routine. The robots may have won in this timeline, but we gotta give it to the Canadians for having achieved a cultural victory. Last little detail, I'm playing the complete edition, not the remaster. I know that upgrading to the remaster would have been a $15 purchase, which I would agree is reasonable, but I was hungry for shawarma that day. The choice, therefore, was obvious. Now that all of that's out of the way, on to the meat and potatoes. Do you want to play a Ubisoft game without giving Ubisoft any of your money? Boy, have I got the game for you! It's got an open world, it's got stuff to do, it's sprinkled with all manners of enemies and encounters, and you've got enough collectibles to find that it begs to question how many of your inventory slots happen to be your body cavities. You are here to pick the world clean of valuables, jobs, and political problems. The story is as follows. You are a girl who has been shunned and outcast from birth, and somehow, you being a ginger is not the reason for it. You've been raised in a superstitious and conservative household by a single father who is always right, even when he is wrong. And normally this is the perfect recipe to create a person who purchases every media and cutting-edge company in some attempt to exert power and get surrounded by yes-men. Or, if they're not rich enough for it, they switch to the timeless plan B of voting against their own interests and then blaming the visible minority du jour for everything from the price of eggs to public speakers falling over at inconvenient times. Somehow, the protagonist chooses the third option, which is to make up for lost time and learn everything she can about herself and the world. Sure enough, it doesn't take long for her to get out of the homeland and out into foreign territory. As an added bonus, she's developed an ability for zingers in such quality and quantity that Psychonauts 2 is on the verge of suing for trademark infringement. Really, the dialogue is a shining diamond, and it creates a ton of moments where the heroine is firmly an audience surrogate, as we all chuckle behind our keyboards upon listening to a guy who spent all his life grossly misinterpreting coffee cups. If the protagonist becomes more self-aware than she already is, she'll start thinking in yellow boxes. Now, at the same time, I'm thinking of the other open-world games I've played, and why I was perfectly able to binge Blood Dragon while getting bored of Far Cry 3. I agree that my sample size is wildly insufficient, but stick with me, we're just chatting over a couple beers as usual. I think it's in the player character. I don't remember the protagonist of Far Cry 3. I remember its antagonist, though, but the hero felt like just a guy. A beige suit for anybody to wear and blend in. Blood Dragon, though, I remember Power Colt and how deliciously cheesy he was. It was a lot easier to root for Power Colt, and myself by extension, when the meat puppet I was piloting had a personality and a quality of existence that made me want to see them stay alive and succeed. Same thing for Aloy. Yeah, she's a badass because that's how video games work. But she's also a badass in other ways not necessary to video gaming, and she's got her own moments of being charming and funny and endearing, and it's easy to understand when she gets flustered and irritated because some of the people around her are absolute cartoon characters. I don't care about what happens next in the story. I care about how she'll react to it. Getting to the next helping of storyline and dialogue and zingers demands, of course, video game progression. That means going to the next spot on the map and usually wiping out whatever happens to be there. If you're lucky, that whatever is going to be a few human beings who go down from taking an arrow in the face, and if you're less lucky, that whatever is going to be a robot that will require many arrows in various choice body parts, the selection of which can be seen using the augmented reality gizmo you found in the introduction. Following that, you have various types of ammo to inflict status effects, damage types, keep somebody in place, or just plain blow up as hard as possible. In some cases, you can even rip out one part of a robot and use it against them. The lower level robots can be taken down with a mixture of ambush and proper planning. The higher level robots are damage sponges that will have you channeling the spirit of Dark Souls for the next 5 minutes, and whether you put down traps or not will have an effect best described as unnoticeable. No need to get out of the fight if you run out of ammo. You can just bullet time yourself and make 50 new arrows in midair. There's no in-game explanation for it. You're just a marginally slower Skyrim character. You're Gromit laying down railroad track underneath a speeding locomotive while on the speeding locomotive. And you're gonna have to do that a lot because even the max level ammo bags are barely enough to last you a fight. So you're gonna have to pick into your slightly larger resource bags in order to craft new ammo on the fly. Literally on the fly. It's super weird that the bags you got on you are laughably gigantic and yet woefully undersized at the same time. Your inventory is way bigger than what any reasonable person could ever hope to carry. Your inventory is also small enough to constantly remind you that you're playing a video game with conscious limits imposed onto it. You can carry a grand total of 870 arrows, 84 potions, 72 grenades, 42 full-sized outfits, 36 tripwires, 36 booby traps, and 35 weapons, and somebody, somewhere, drew the line in the sand right there. Because any more would have bordered on unrealistic. Fact of the matter is, you're probably going to define your personal playstyle early on and stick to it for most of the experience. Some of your weapons will probably never see any use because you can quickly attain the classic video game situation of it being simpler to take down an enemy with a couple of big bombs than with careful placement of status effect traps and pinpoint accuracy shots in an artistic dance between the hunter and the hunted. The same is going to apply towards you, because the bigger robots lose all sense of subtlety and they will happily barrel through any ambush you set for them without blinking. That pretty much kills the idea of a proper hunt right in the egg, in favor of putting an end to the fight as quickly as possible, since you can drink fewer potions than your enemy has punches. The impression is exacerbated in the DLC, which contains nothing but beefcakes. It turns every single robot encounter into a boss fight. Fortunately, there is the worldwide scavenger hunt to take a break between all the battles. You get some hint as to where everything is, but you still have to look around to locate the bit in question. The reward for completing the scavenger hunts is bragging rights. Yeah, there's a box of stuff that you receive as compensation, and that box contains about a fourth of all the random crap you picked up along the way to the last collectible. It takes 50 hours to fully complete the main story and side quests. Add another dozen or so for the DLC. When it's all done, it's all done. There's a new Game Plus option, and the cosmetics that this unlocks feels like getting paid 25 cents for weeding a rose bush with your bare hands. There's even an option for a super duper mega ultra difficulty of whichever sort, and I will not touch it with a 10-foot pole. The last thing I want in my enjoyment of a good story is bigger obstacles that stop me from enjoying the story. Hence, the question. I've done it. I got to the end, and I'm happy I did. I know there's a sequel. I know the sequel will very likely be more of the same. Do I want to do more of the same? Do I want to run the obstacle course on my way to enjoying a good movie? I guess it will depend on my mood over time. Maybe, someday, I'll get the craving and I'll go for it. But it's likely that a lot of time will pass before that happens.
I spent 2 years in the Forbidden West setting this up, and the redhead gets all the credit?
In short, this game is you, your favorite restaurant, and the bumper-to-bumper traffic between the two.